Journalists are routinely beaten and jailed. Dumisani is one of the few who will still tell the truth about Zimbabwe's epic collapse.
Zimbabwe is, without a doubt, the highest inflation in Africa, if not in the world. It has the weakest currency in Africa, if not in the world. You know, those kind of things. Really, that's why it becomes a big story. It is almost like it has now become a monumental museum of failure. The air is fraught with the frustration, with the anger, with the despair, and some people have just given up.
It wasn't supposed to be this way. Robert Mugabe was once a liberation hero, admired around the world. He ushered in prosperity, healthcare, and a literacy rate of 85%, the highest in Africa.
We are humanitarians. We don't want to see people killed.
But politics turned into thuggery, and holding on to power became Mugabe's top priority. In TV ads, the ruling ZANU-PF party openly threatened opponents.
This is one way to die. Don't commit suicide. Don't be foolish. Vote ZANU-PF and leave.
When the opposition nearly beat Mugabe in the 2000 elections, the president lashed back.
Lies! Lies and more lies!
Mugabe embarked on a radical land reform plan, violently seizing Zimbabwe's biggest farms, owned by whites, many of whom had funded the opposition. But instead of giving the farms to ordinary Zimbabweans, Mugabe handed them over to party loyalists and generals.
There's sort of hypocrisy. They've no feeling for any other person, for any human beings anymore. What they want is to make sure that how can they maintain their power base.
Margaret Dongo was a former ally of Mugabe and a famous freedom fighter. She was the first member of parliament to confront her colleagues in the ruling party.
I met them in banks, I met them in street, and I said, but guys, is this what we fought for? Honestly, why are you burying us alive? And they'll say, Margaret, you know, it's not our fault. It's about the big men. And the next question you ask, so why can't we have a change? Then they'll start stammering. You look at the country going down the drain, and you look at the time we took to build it up, and then one can just destroy it overnight. It's something painful.
Margaret Dongo's high profile makes it possible for her to speak out. But we know many of Mugabe's political opponents have been scared into silence. We drove south to the city of Bulawayo. Opposition to the ruling party runs deep here. President Mugabe stands accused of massacring some 20,000 people in this area early in his rule. Things looked worse in Bulawayo. Long lines around the block for food. We hid a camera in a backpack and went inside a supermarket to look around. The rest of the country was poor, but here the mainstay of the local diet, maize or cornmeal, was nowhere on the shelves. Outside of town, we find fields lying fallow. Zimbabwe used to be the breadbasket of Africa, but land looted by the government produces little food. Now, we've heard, there's a new policy. The government is forcing poor family farmers to make up the shortfall. This woman told us the army had taken over her farm at gunpoint. She protested and was punished by a soldier.
thina besivele siphila khonapho even sepa whatsoever besiphila khonapho khathi singasilapho konke lapho.
President Mugabe claims this new policy of farm takeovers will provide for the people. But on the outskirts of town, we discover bags of cornmeal being loaded onto government trucks. Few here, it seems, will eat any of it. The UN estimates nearly half the country, over 5 million Zimbabweans, will be in urgent need of food by the summer. We were taken to see a shop owner who spoke to us at great personal risk. She says the ruling party is using food as a political weapon.
People are now saying we've been promised lies for quite a long time. We had all the hope and trusted these people were driving us the right way. Those are the ZANU-PF that are saying so. Now we have seen these people are playing foul out of us. ZANU-PF is just doing some havoc to the people.
Far removed from the suffering on the ground, President Mugabe recently celebrated his 82nd birthday.
Welcome to this special program, Reflections at 82.
He used state television to answer his critics.
Over 25 years of independence have brought Your Excellency more vilification and demonization from the West.
Sure.
Is there anything wrong with the man, Robert Mugabe?
I don't know. The judgment is that of others. The judgment is that of my people. My people say I am right in the things that I do, and that's what I listen to. Those who say I am wrong, I'm a dictator, if you look at them, I don't look nice to them, but I look nice and handsome to my people, isn't it?
But for most Zimbabweans, especially here in the south, President Mugabe's words ring hollow.
We are being muzzled by a government that has become hostile to its own people.
Archbishop Pius Ncube has become President Mugabe's most outspoken critic.
I've refused to be intimidated. I know many families that are spending 4 or 5 days without food. I parted with a lot of money, people coming here, women coming and crying before me. We haven't eaten for all these days. And I to look around, sometimes I've even a lot of deaths. I go borrowing money to help these people.
The Archbishop's sermons are monitored by government agents, and he's received death threats. But he hasn't softened his attack on President Mugabe.
He's a heartless person. How many people are suffering for this man? Hasn't he had enough power after 26 years? He should be ashamed enough to say, I've stayed long enough, I should get out and let other younger people come in who can do a better job than he.
What the Archbishop would tell us before we left would get less prominent Zimbabweans jailed.
What I pray for is that people become so restless and angry, and to get the army to their side and police to their side, and to stand up against him and bring him down.
In our top story tonight, 14 murder suspects appear before a Bulawayo court.
This is what happened to some men inspired by Archbishop Ncube, who became active